different ways technically that you can work remotely with Sage 100 Cloud right now?
Yeah, what it really comes down to with a product like Sage 100 and Sage 100 Cloud is RDP. So when you when you think about the way to access an on-premise solution or a desktop-based solution like Sage 100, you need to get to the application so it can run remotely. That's kind of the topic of today. But RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol, and there's a couple different ways to do that. One would be to run it, just open up your PC to be able to be remote controlled through RDP. That means you would leave your PC on, have the ability to get through your firewall and open it up and basically take over or remote control your PC from a different PC. That's kind of the cheapest way to do things without a lot of
makes
effort.
Sense. Yeah.
Probably the biggest hurdle that you have when you think about doing that is you need 2 PCs. So that
good point.
The second thing that you have to really think about is the ability for you to get through that firewall. That might take some IT effort, because as we see the world as we see it today with all the security problems and hackers coming in, you're going to want to be uberly careful about opening yourself up. So another way to do RDP is to put it on a server and let the RDP server serve up desktops or remote solutions so that you can access Sage 100 or whatever else on your server that you want. That limits the need to have multiple PCs. Now you're kind of getting to a server and using what they call a CAL, a license to open up another desktop. But you're managing it on the server, and the server can manage many people at the same time. Again, still giving you that remote desktop app or remote RDP, remote desktop protocol, without having to use kind of take over a PC that's sitting, dormant.
That's
One
helpful.
other application that's there, similar to RDP, then I'll come back to you, Nate, is Remote App. And Remote App is very similar to RDP from a standpoint of the traditional sense of RDP says, I'm going to open up a desktop and remote control a desktop session. So you get all the flavor like you're working at that PC, but it's just a kind of a virtual machine in the cloud or in that server. Another application is Remote App, which is publishing an application like a Sage 100 in Remote App allows you to access the application remotely, but doesn't give you access to the whole desktop. So
Pieces.
Gives you access only to Sage 100. So did you have another question around that, Nate?
No, that's excellent. No, I appreciate it.
So the third thought around the whole RDP structure and thought process is to host your solution. The hosting means you're going to put it somewhere, not in your 4 walls and not on a physical device that you maintain. You're going to basically offload that to someone else that's going to maintain that physical device. That's where Summit Hosting comes into place. Go to My ERP comes into place. Amazon Web Services as a hosting solution. Google Platform. The question is, how much do you want to maintain it versus how much do you want someone else to maintain it? Whereas Summit Hosting will maintain the server, maintain the architecture. Go to My ERP is another solution. What they do is they configure AWS to be your farm, your hosted platform, but they're doing all the management of that platform, so you don't have to think about it, and it's off your plate. But again, it's a new version or a different flavor of a way to RDP in. When you talk about a hosted solution, or I'm sorry, an on-premise solution like Sage 100, RDP, different flavors really is the answer when it comes to
the whole thing.
how much you want to do it or how much you want someone else to make that platform available for you to handle.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Jeremy. When you say host the solution and they're going to take care of everything, so that would include like backups. I know that's a big thing. You know, you want to make sure, folks, if you haven't lately, make sure you're backing up your Sage 100 instance, and then also make sure that the backup is working. So once you back it up, put it in and make sure that that actually restores. But yeah, does that mean that they take care of all that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Nate. There's different hosting solutions that have different levels of that. Let's go away from the word backup, because I think backups are kind of a norm. But when you really want to define it, you want to say disaster recovery plan and redundancy.
Right.
So you want to put it in a category of disaster recovery to say, if something happens, you know, how quickly can we get back up, and what's the SLA or the service level agreement to hit that mark and to be there. We know that between a couple of different hosting solutions, I'll leave them nameless. You know, one makes backups, and those backups are done every night, and there's a good image of that backup. But the backup is on premise inside of their data center. So when you think about the level of that backup, I wouldn't put that at the level of disaster recovery, because the backup is on site. So if the site gets taken out,
physically, something happens to the site.
Yeah, you're not the greatest scenario. You know, the likelihood is low, but you know, part of it is that solution comes in at a cheaper price than maybe some others. But some others say, you know, we're going to back up every night, on site and off site. And we're going to not only back up the database, we're going to back up the entire image of the server, and we're going to make sure that is up within 5 minutes of something going down in a different region of the world, or in the US, a different data center, because they've got the redundancy in place. When you work with someone that is on a platform like AWS or Google platform or Azure with Microsoft, you know, a lot of that is kind of built into their contracting. You know, just by being a part of their platform, they're assuring that it's going to be that disaster recovery in place.
Uptime and disaster recovery, and that makes sense. Like you said, it depends on what price point and what level of disaster recovery you're looking for. But I could see where hosting the solution kind of takes all of that technical knowledge or requirements and puts it on the provider. So, I mean, regardless, Matrix can help you further understand what your options are for working with Sage 100 Cloud remotely. Again, we mentioned it's an on-premise solution, but that doesn't mean that you can't access it from home. Jeremy, how are you set up today?
Yeah, as Nate points out, I'm a remote employee for Matrix. I'm in Idaho, Boise, Idaho. Been working remote from home since I joined Matrix, and I've been a remote employee for a long time. And you know, I'm using a lot of different solutions, including RDP, you know, Office 365, you know, all the solutions that make it possible for me to work from anywhere in the world almost. It really doesn't matter as long as I have an internet connection.
Yeah, and obviously when the coronavirus was keeping everybody at home, we had the ability to take our machines with us and still continue conducting business. So that's the obvious benefit from it. But there's some technical stuff in there that, again, Jeremy or I reach out to either one of us, we'd be happy to walk you through it and connect you with some of those hosting providers if that sounds like something in the near future you're considering. As we all know, Sage 100, 100 Cloud, we say a couple times already, is on-premise solution, but we're finding a way for you to use it remotely.